Gilchrist County 911 with the address of the emergency.
When someone calls 911, what happens is that a first responder arrives quickly to help. But far more is involved behind the scenes in running an efficient, community-focused fire EMS department than what the average citizen sees when a fire truck or ambulance shows up.
When a call is first received into the 911 center, there are software there that they utilize not only to identify the location of the incident, but they input their notes into the call. They then, in turn, dispatch the most appropriate agency to respond to that. We get all that data automatically loaded into the present provider of software for us, and we are constantly getting that information updated. So basically, at the bottom of the run report, there is a summary of all the information that the dispatchers have obtained for that emergency. So we can take that information and add it into our report. Plus we have a clear path of the records that they have done. When we get to the patient care example, we were able to input that information as opposed to sitting there and having to handwrite it. A lot of the information from the CAD is also transferred into that report. Another advantage with the report, especially on the medical calls, is after we have done an initial response, if we go back to that patient, whether it's 6 months, 3 years later, the system will auto-populate all the information.
RMS means Records Management System, and what that really is a solution whereas the fire chiefs, fire marshals, training officers, city administrators, other important decision makers in the community are able to collect data, and they can utilize that data in order to help first responders do a better job of protecting people and property. Today's software is able to bring data down from 911 dispatch centers and automatically pre-fill an incident. So that allows the first responders to know more information about what's actually happening on scene. And so as the incident's unfolding and the fire chief or the other person in command on the scene is able to look at what the situation is based on data that's being pulled down, and then we're able to, on scene even, provide reporting that will allow the decision makers moving forward to better respond to fire or whatever the incident is.
Government reporting compliance is required. It impacts our fire department and our public safety in many ways. We are fortunate here to have a well-funded department in the villages. We are very fortunate to have a fire chief and senior staff that has served a long time and produces information and data where we actually can plan out our development. And planning out our development of future fire stations and also community watch, which is part of our, if you will, eyes and feet on the ground employees that are feeding information to both myself and other departments. We are able to really maintain that level of safety. One of the basic elements why people have moved to the villages is the environment and that safe environment in which to live, work, and play.
Having a single platform for all of an agency's fire and EMS and other data is incredibly important for accurate reporting and effective data analysis. This ensures the efficiency and safety for the fire department and the community as a whole. Emergency Reporting, a cloud-based fire, EMS, and community risk reduction platform, is trusted by fire, EMS, and military bases all over the world. Emergency Reporting welcomes about 18 new agencies as customers per week. They employ many active and retired members of the fire service who have over 496 years of combined experience in the industry. From humble beginnings 15 years ago, Emergency Reporting now serves over 460,000 first responders and agency personnel at more than 6,100 agencies around the world.
We trust the software. We know that it exceeds the requirements for HIPAA, confidentiality. The system is so versatile. I can be out of the state, I can be somewhere in the United States and be able to access information off my cell phone and know that it's a secure environment and that I can look at things that are occurring here. I can run reports if I'm somewhere else outside the area. So I can gather that information if I need it. For example, if my boss was to call me and say, I need information about a particular call, I don't have to call back here or try to, I can get into the system via a cell phone and pull that documentation, and within minutes I can call him back, or I can cut and paste and send him the information. So time is in the essence with him. There is a very large elected group here. There's well over 13 boards that he answers to. So he has to have that information within a short period of time to be able to address those individuals, plus take care of rumor controls or misunderstandings. So I'm able to do that whether I'm here or, like I said, I could be in New York City and pull that information within minutes and get him the answers that he needs. Plus I can look and monitor things that are going on here.
One of the big issues with looking at data, and data itself can be good and it can be bad, but if you really carefully go through it and you scrub it, you can get really that long-range vision. And so in looking at response times, the chief and I and his senior staff, working with a team of architects and engineers, were able to site future fire stations. That's very, very important in a high-growth community. We actually are a population just nearing 130,000 and look to be tens of thousands more in population in the coming decade. So it's important for us to be able to plan out for fire, emergency management, community watch needs, and plan out and locate stations. When you're looking at the acquisition of land for fire stations, you're looking at the rolling stock required, and you're looking at all of that outfitting of those stations. You're looking at many, many millions of dollars. And people don't give that money freely. They want to make sure it's a well-intended use, well thought out. That data, in this case, fire response times, and the ratios of the people to the truck and the trucks to the need in the community is critical in future planning.
Basically, what we see all across the country is there's a demand on budget restraints. Oftentimes there's not enough money to properly provide the services that the fire departments need, and so they need to justify the spending. So a lot of times motor vehicle accidents, those type of activities demand a lot of resources, and people want the resources to show up rather quickly. So that means that you need to have proper training, you need to have your assets and apparatus close and ready to respond, and then you need to be able to document that to prove that you're actually going on all these calls. So what we see oftentimes is there's reports that can justify additional equipment, like the jaws of life. We know what that is on a motor vehicle accident, how important that is to have just that type of piece of equipment ready and people trained on that to respond quickly to a motor vehicle accident.
Their mission is to continue paving the way in helping first responders serve their communities. To learn more, visit them online at emergencyreporting.com.